Fourth stage, 1909-1935. Minto-Mali reforms 1909. The Act of Council, introduced in 1909, got its name from the fact that Lord Mali, the Secretary to the Government of India, and Lord Minto, the Governor-General, jointly designed these reforms. For the first time in our country, a voting system on a limited basis was introduced. The Central Legislative Council was converted into the Imperial Legislative Council. The number of members of the Legislative Council has been increased to 60. The number of members of the Legislative Council of the states has been increased to 47. For the first time, Indians were represented in the Governor-General's Executive Council. The first Indian to be appointed as a member of the council, Satyendra Prasad Sinha, S.P. Sinha. In India, special constituencies, reservations, have been established for Muslims on the basis of religion. Minto is the father of religiously based constituencies in India. The Legislative Assembly has been provided with the opportunity to ask questions and introduce resolutions on all issues, including the budget. The following events took place in 1911 during the reign of Lord Hardinge II. A. The capital of India was shifted from Calcutta to Delhi. B. The partition of Bengal was annulled. C. The song, Jana Gana Mana, was sung for the first time at the Indian National Congress session held in Calcutta in 1911. Lala Hardayal started the Ghadar Party in 1913. In San Francisco, America. In 1916, Mrs. Annie Besant and Bal Gangadhar Tilak organized the Hendul movement. Indians expressed their strong protest against the Rowlatt Act introduced by the British in 1919. General Dyer's unprovoked firing on Indians peacefully gathering at Jallianwala Bagh Park in Amritsar to protest the Rowlatt Act and the arrest of Punjab nationalist leader Satyapal Khichle, marked a milestone in the history of the Indian nationalist movement. General Dyer was the main culprit behind the Jallianwala Bagh massacre in 1919. Although it was promised that Indians would be granted partial independence with dominion status after the war for their cooperation with the British in World War I, this was not implemented. The British introduced the Council Act of 1919 to appease the Indians in special circumstances such as the 1909 Act not satisfying the Indians strongly opposing the Rowlatt Act, and the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, which had severely criticized the British government. Montagu-Chelmsford Reform Act, Act of Council 1919. Montagu, the Secretary of State for India, and Chelmsford, the Governor-General, drafted this act, hence this Act of Council is known as the Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Act. The preamble to the Council Act of 1919 stated that the aim was to introduce responsible governance in India. Bicameral system was introduced for the first time in the Central Legislative Assembly. A. Council of States. This 60-member house serves as the upper house. Term of office 5 years. Frederick White served as its president. B. Legislative Council. Total number of assembly members is 145, excluding Speaker. Term of office 3 years. President Vithalbhai Patel. Filled right pointing small triangle Vice President Sachidananda Sinha. The Governor-General has the power to dissolve the above-mentioned houses before the completion of their term. The number of members of the legislative assemblies in the states has been increased. Government powers were divided between the central and state governments in principle. A. Matters of national importance are the responsibility of the centre. The centre has been given authority over a total of 47 matters. For example, foreign affairs, defence, currency, railways, etc. B. Matters of regional importance are the responsibility of the state government. The states have been given powers on a total of 50 issues. For example, agriculture, irrigation, local self-government, road transport. Dual governments were introduced in the states. That is, the subjects of government administration were classified into two lists. A. Reserved list powers on 28 subjects. 1. Matters such as land tenure, law and order, and justice, which have important powers and revenues. 2. The powers on this list are vested in officers appointed by the governor. They do not hold any responsibility to the Legislative Assembly. B. Transferred list powers on 22 items. Departments that have only responsibilities without powers and importance are included in this list. Example. Local self-government, health, sanitation. 1. Indian ministers are vested with powers over this list. They are collectively responsible to the legislature. Special reservations have been provided for 6 in the legislative assemblies. Creation of the post of Auditor General to audit government revenue and expenditure. 2. Establishment of the Chamber of Princesses. Bal Gangadhar Tilak described the 1919 Act as a sunless morning. It was stated that a special commission will be formed to monitor the implementation of this law after 10 years. This act was enacted in 1921. Important changes brought about by its implementation. A. The Public Accounts Committee, PAC, Government Departments Committee, was formed in 1921. B. The Tea Commission was constituted to study and submit a report on the establishment of a Public Service Commission, and this commission submitted its report in 1926. Following the recommendations of the Tea Commission, separate public service commissions were established at the center and in the states. C. The state budget was separated from the central budget. D. The importance of the India Council has been reduced. E. The post of Secretary of State for India was reduced in importance and an Indian High Commissioner was appointed in London. The railway budget has been separated from the general budget. A special mechanism has been set up at the central and state levels for the selection of employees. This law granted the right to vote to only 2.6% of the people in our country. In 1920, Gandhiji started the non-cooperation movement. 19,226 Ocean Day Dan. Crime is power and everyone who stands by and watches crime is a criminal, Gandhiji. Referring to the 1919 Act. In 1923, Pandit Motilal Nehru and Chittaranjan Das together founded the Swaraj Party. The committee that supported the dual government was the Muddiman Committee. The law followed in the matter of federation until the Constitution of India came into force, Government of India Act, 1919. Simon Commission. A commission headed by Sir John Simon was set up in 1927 to monitor the implementation of the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. In 1928, the Simon Commission visited India. The people of India organized a movement called Simon Go Back to protest the lack of representation of Indians in this commission. In 1930, the Simon Commission submitted its report to the British government in London. Highlights of the Simon Commission report. A federal-style government should be established in India. The dual rule introduced by the 1919 Act should be abolished. Indians should be given participation in governance. The representation of Indians in the legislatures should be increased. Introducing a parliamentary system of government. Formation of Orissa and Sindh states on linguistic basis. Denial of universal adult suffrage. Denial of fundamental rights. Formation of linguistically oriented states. Rejection of independence accompanied by dominion status. In 1929, the Congress session held in Lahore under the presidency of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru passed the resolution of complete Swaraj. In 1930, Gandhiji started the civil disobedience movement. This is also known as the Salt Satyagraha and the Dandi Satyagraha. Round Table Meetings. The British held 3 round table meetings in London to consult with all sections of the people of India to discuss the issues in the Simon Commission report. 3 roundtable meetings were held to gather the views of Indians on the future administrative reforms to be introduced for the administration of India. First round table meeting, 1930. Second round table meeting, 1931. Third round table conference, 1932. Mahatma Gandhi attended the second round table conference. On this occasion, an agreement was signed between Gandhiji and Lord Irwin. This is known as the Irwin Pact. This agreement does not concern administrative matters. The civil disobedience movement was conducted in peaceful ways, to prevent the British from making illegal charges and arrests. The person who attended the above 3 meetings was Dr. B. R. Ambedkar. In 1932, the then British Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald announced the Communal Award. The understanding reached between Ambedkar and Gandhi on the Communal Award announced in 1932 on the issue of providing reservations to the weaker sections is known as the Pune Pact. In 1933, a select committee set up by the British Parliament officially announced the details of the legislation that the British were going to introduce in India in the form of a white paper. The Government of India Act of 1935 was introduced based on the white paper announced under the leadership of Lord Linlithgow. White paper. A white paper is an official policy statement issued by the government on administrative matters. Even in the current era, governments often publish a white paper on any important administrative issue.